Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Well, another month gone again. It's now the end of July. Isn't the year flying by? Here in Australia, we're now 2/3 of the way through winter. Hopefully it's going to start warming up again soon. Today, we're going to look back over the pens and the inks that I've been using this month. I'm going to fetch them out, I'm going to give them a ranking and let you know why I gave it that ranking. So join me now down on the mat and let's start taking a look at these pens. So here we are down on the mat. Now before we start looking, I will say this month has been really difficult to give these pens a ranking. I've enjoyed using them all. To come up with the ranking, I've had to really think really hard and I've got to be very picky with each of the pens. And I will be honest with you, if I was to film this tomorrow, chances are it would be completely different. But for now, let's go and start at position number 6. This one is the Twispy Eco. This has got an extra fine nib and it's got Van Dieman's Devil's Black ink. I like the Ecos, I really do. I enjoy writing with them. Because this pen's extra fine, one of the things I was finding is as I was writing, the nib, it would feel like it's catching on the paper, especially with some of the more inexpensive papers that I use. If we take a look in my Tomoe River paper, we can see here, it looks really nice on Tomoe River. It's nice and wet. Let me just move this up so hopefully we can get it. There we go. It's all in the shot. It's really nice. It's a nice deep black. It really looks nice on all papers. As I say, we had that issue with the nib catching on the cheaper ones. When it's on something like the Tomoe River, it's nice and smooth, but I don't often use Tomoe River. I generally use them cheaper pads because what I write a lot of the time are just like temporary notes, so they're like rough books that I just throw away when I've finished filling them. Whereas with the Tomoe River, you know, on here, this is where I keep my notes about my pens. I've got a launch term 1917 that I use for my journaling, writes nice in that as well. Clairefontaine paper, again, writes nice on that. But I've got to look at it as a whole. The other thing with this pen is each day I take a photo of the pen and ink I'm using and I put it onto my Facebook page, my Twitter stream and my Instagram. So when I did that on the first day of this month, I heard this little voice coming from the other room going, boring. And when I asked her what she meant, she said, well, it's black ink, it's boring. So the wife doesn't like it, which is a bit of a shame because, as I say, it's actually not too bad. But I've got to rank these. So this comes in at position number 6. By the way, I am using a Twispy Eco with that gold ink in it. So at position number 5, again, I've had to really think about this one, but that goes to the Moonman M600S. Again, it's a pen I love. I love the looks of this. I love the colour of it. Just look at that gorgeous colour as I turn it around. It's got a fine nib, or should I say at the start of the month it had a fine nib. We'll go through that as I talk about this pen. I started off with Oster Tranquility. I absolutely love that ink, so much so that I've actually just recently ordered a full bottle of it. I had just been using samples up till now. It ran out so quickly because, as I say, I like it. I like writing with it. And I swapped it then for Oster Spearmint. You know, so we've gone from now more of that tealy colour to more of a greeny colour. Again, I liked that ink. Let me just fetch in that Tomoe River paper. So here we have it. M600S with the Oster Tranquility. Really nice, got some really lovely shading coming through. The nib, it did catch the paper occasionally. Again, usually just on that cheaper paper. I haven't really had any issues. It wrote really nicely, especially on the Clairefontaine paper, which is the one where I usually do have problems. So yeah, it's a really nice pen and ink combination. I'd say I then changed it partway through the month for Oster Spearmint. Again, really nice, seeing lots of sheen coming through. One of the issues I did have with this, and also with the Tranquility to be honest, when there was only a little bit of ink left in the converter, the pen did skip quite a lot. So it's one of the things where I just need to make sure I've always got the converter at least half full, then I have no problems. as I say, another really nice combination. About a week before the end of the month, I received some new nibs that I'd ordered from AliExpress, and these are Kaigaloo long knife nibs. So they're a little bit, I believe they're like an architect type grind, and I thought, right, let's experiment. And I thought I'd experiment with this one, because at the end of the day, the Moonman M600S is fairly inexpensive if I messed up. So I went ahead and I changed the nib, leaving in the Robert Oster Spearmint. And if I skip right to the end, here's my test page from that. Initially, I couldn't see a lot of difference between the writing. What I then did though is I passed a brass shim through the tines because they seemed really, really tight. And after that, it really writes nicely. I'm seeing a lot of difference between the horizontal and the vertical strokes. Really nice, really enjoy writing it. You can see it a little bit here on the M in the M600S. There's a little bit of character coming there. This was before I touched the tines, so it's not exactly what I wanted to see, but yeah, it's still nice. I would say, even after cleaning out the tines, it's not as wet as the Moonman nib, but it's nice to have something to experiment with. But as I say, I had to give this a ranking, and it came in at number 5, mainly due to the issues I was having when the converter was less than half full. At position number 4 this month, had to really scratch my head with this one, but it has to go, unfortunately, to the Pilot Custom Heritage 92, and this has got a medium nib. Now in here, I've got Van Dieman's Twilight Mist. I absolutely love this colour. It looks really nice. And it's one of those on most papers I had no problems with. It looked really, really gorgeous. I have a writing practice book. What I do there is I do at least 2 pages every day with my pen for the day, just really to try and help improve my own handwriting. That book is by a company called Oster. And in that book, this pen feathers terribly. It really is. It looks horrible. Not only does it feather, it shows through to the other side of the page. Really do not like it because it spoils the whole look of the ink. All the other papers, it's fine. Nothing really in show through. Look, if I go there, yes, there's some, but not really enough that would cause me an issue. But there is show through there. So that's really the only reason why I've had to ding this pen. I love the look of it. I love the shape of it. It's got this gorgeous gold nib, which is rhodium plated. Really nice pen. I love the ink. The ink, as I say, apart from on Otter, does look nice on all papers. There's not a lot of character comes through with it though. As you can see here, it's all really the same colour. There's very little in the way of shading. So that's the reason why this comes in at position number 4. So we're into my top 3 now. At position number 3 is the big boy. This is the Ranga Model 5. This has got a broad nib, and to be honest, it needs a broad nib. Look at the size of this pen. Let's take the cap off. Yes, the cap is very big, but even uncapped, it's a big pen. You really know you've got it. The nib on here is a Ranga nib. I think if I was to buy another Ranga pen, I would get it with a Bok or a Joho nib. They do offer all these options, which is one of the really nice things about Ranga, the number of options there are. It's an Indian made pen and I love it. I love writing with this pen. It really is nice. The ink I paired with it was Van Dieman Apple Island Green. Again, really nice ink. Looks really nice when I'm writing. The problem is that ink though, it looks nice, but it has no character. There's no shading coming through at all. Let me just fetch in the Tomoe River paper. As you can see on here, no character. It's the same colour all the way through. It's minor, but I would have liked to have seen some character coming out. I love writing with a pen though. No matter what paper I'm on, it writes really well. No bleeding, no feathering, just looks really, really nice. So when I'm coming up with my score, what I had to do is think, well, where does this come? And really, purely because of the lack of character in the ink, this comes in at position number 3. At position number 2, well, it's another pen from India. It's this one. This is the Fountain Pen Revolution Darjeeling, and it's got a medium nib. Just going to move my paper up slightly. There we go. Now we can see it there. The ink was Robert Oster Terracotta. I love the colour of that ink. It's like an orangey brown to me. This is the second time I've had this pen in my monthly rotation. When I had it before, it was the height of the Australian summer and I did have problems with it. It had major issues with ink flow. I put that down to the temperature and I think I was right. This month I've had zero problems with it. I've had the odd little bit of skipping, but that's really it. It's not really caused me a major issue. It's a very economical writer. Although it's medium, it looks more on the fine side of medium to me. So the ink has really lasted really well in this pen, which was really good to see. When I write with it, it's fairly smooth. It's not like writing on glass smooth, but it's got that nice smoothness to it with that hint of feedback. If I fetch in the Tomoe River paper, here we go. As you can see, there's a lot of character in this. Loads of shading coming through on here. The ink colour, as I said, I absolutely love it. On here, I'm saying there was a little tiny bit of skipping on Clairefontaine. Not really enough that would cause me to worry about it. You know it's there, but it's not an issue. All the other papers, including that auto paper, worked really, really well. It's, again I've said, it's an economical writer. It really does last. I mean, that one fill lasted me virtually all month. That's how nice it is. That's how well it writes. So that means that this pen comes in at position number 2. And this is where Gary realises he made a little bit of a faux pas. Position number 4 should have been down there. And this should be position number 2. So by default, once we eliminate everything else, that means at position number 1 for this month is the Jinhao 100 Centennial, which has got Robert Oster Soda Pop Blue. I've filled this up a couple of times this month. It's so nice. It's a nice writer. It feels nice in the hand. Let me just show you there. It's a nice fit. It's not too long, not too short. It's got a number 6 nib. Again, the Jinhao nib, I've had no problems with it. I do have a number of Jinhao pens, and the vast majority of them I've had no issues. Yes, there's the odd one or two where I get a problem, but usually a little bit of time with some micro mesh fixes that really quickly. But other than that, not really had major issues with that Jinhao. Let me fetch in the writing. Let me fetch in the Tomoe River paper. Here we go. You can see again, look at all this character coming through. And the colour, this pale blue colour, it's so nice. It really is. It's not what I would call a school blue. It's a lot lighter than that. The Soda Pop Blue really looks nice coming out of this nib. One of the things I do want to point out, at the bottom of the section is this little lip. And on this one, when I'm doing my longer sessions, this does tend to dig into my finger a little tiny bit. It's not uncomfortably so, but it's noticeably there. So that's something which we do need to be aware of. There's a little bit of feedback when I'm writing, which again, I like. I don't like pens that are overly smooth. I like to feel it writing. This pen is one of the ones where I've normally got it inked all the time. It might be in the background. You might not see it in my monthly rotation, but usually it's there and it's inked up. So that means at position number 1, that's awarded to the Jinhao 100 Centennial with Robert Oster Soda Pop Blue. Let me just clear this off, and what we'll do is we'll take one final look at the pens. So position number 6 is the Twispy Eco. Position number 5, the Moonman M600S, which I had lots of fun playing around with the inks and the nib. Position 4 goes to the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. Position 3, if it will fit in there, it really doesn't, that's just balancing on the top, is the Ranga Model 5. I often refer to this one as the big boy. At position number 2, Fountain Pen Revolution Darjeeling. And this month's winner at position number 1, the Jinhao 100 Centennial. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What ranking would you give these pens? How about your own pens that you've been using this month? How would you rank them? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. The more that people like and comment, it just helps to drive the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.